Every April, car lovers flock to Essen, Germany for the Techno Classica. It's the world's leading trade fair for classic and vintage automobiles. Here you can find fully restored and extremely expensive classic cars, alongside those that hope to be classic someday. This Ferrari dealer says when it comes to a classic like this, fully restored essentially means rebuilding the car from scratch, and that's reflected in the price. Some of the vehicles on show here change hands for several million euros, but most people will never be able to call one their own. Outside of the exhibition halls, the price tags are lower. You'll still see the odd car in the 100,000 euro range, like this Ferrari 308 GTS, but others are more affordable. This man retired last year and is looking for a hobby. He'd like to find a car that's not been restored, one he can rebuild. A Citroën DS20 or DS21 or maybe a humpback Volvo. He was a salesman, so he has no professional experience, but figures he can pick things up on his own. This year, the electronics and modern classics is a hot topic at the show. He says they're looking into the issue. In future, they might be able to update devices and rework the electronics. Until 4 or 5 years ago, they thought it wasn't possible, but now they've changed their minds. He says, we'll see, times are changing. Before, they also said old carburetors were beyond repair. Now, they just manufacture the parts and fix them. Car clubs are represented here too. Their members are happy to show off their pride and joy. Many have remained true to the same brand for decades. This man says they're the cars we knew in our youth, the ones we learned to drive with, and they've stuck with them. The Techno Classica could also be called the world's biggest spare parts depot. Dealers from across Europe have parts to fit almost every model ever made. Collectors can also pick up die-cast models and other automotive memorabilia. Some car manufacturers are also promoting their brand's history. This year, Porsche has brought along its 924, 944, and 968 trans-axle models. This red 924 was the design prototype for the successful model. It's a museum piece and not for sale. The head of the Porsche Museum says, the trans-axle has the motor up front and transmission in back. It was a milestone in Porsche's development. Another eye-catching car at the Porsche stand is this 911 2.5 ST, which won many a race in its day. Back then, its owner, Michael Kaiser, and Porsche factory racing driver Jürgen Barth took turns behind the wheel. The head of Porsche Classic tells us that a Swiss collector discovered this car in the U.S. in a state of utter disrepair, parked in a field. Children used to play in it. Luckily, someone checked the car's serial number and realized what a treasure they were jumping around in. He's glad the car eventually found its way to the Porsche Works in Zuffenhausen.
Und letztendlich fand dann glücklicherweise das Fahrzeug seinen Weg zu uns nach Zuffenhausen.
It took 2 years of hard work to return the 911 to its original condition. Porsche's Uwe Makrutzki explains that it's not a regular series production model, but one that was specially modified for racing. So you couldn't just open up a repair manual and see how it worked. They had to do tons of research and ask people who were involved in the project back then. You don't have to be an antique car enthusiast to enjoy a visit to the Techno Classica. But looking around at these gleaming cars of yesteryear, you might just become one.